Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is the station. We're ready for the event.
Houston ACR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Houston ACR. How do you hear me?
Houston ACR, loud and clear.
Hello, I'm Maya Ashmira, President and CEO of the Society for Science and the Public and publisher of Science News. The Society is a nonprofit organization best known for our world-class science competitions, our award-winning journalism, and our growing outreach and equity programs. I want to welcome all those tuning in today, especially the teachers and students from across the country who participate in the Society's Science News in High Schools program. We are certainly living through challenging times, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited to be able to share in this amazing opportunity. Astronaut Chris Cassidy will be answering your questions live from the International Space Station 250 miles above the Earth. Now we will ask our first question.
Hi, my name is Zaid Akhtar, and I attend Baton Rouge Magna High School in Louisiana. My question for you is, what was that defining life experience that helped you realize your passion for astronautics? Thank you. Thank you.
Well, hello, Zaid. Thanks for that question. You know what? If I have to really reflect on myself, I don't think I have a passion for astronautics. What I have is a passion for exploring and being part of challenging team efforts. And that's what I think of when I think of exploring space, the International Space Station, and going beyond low Earth orbit. It's exploring, pushing the frontier of knowledge, and it's all folks chipping in. Not only the crew that's doing it, but the whole team of specialists, engineers, scientists on the ground that put it all together. So really, I think it's a passion for exploring and challenging team efforts that I like.
Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I attend Fraser School in Montana. My question is, what does it feel like when the spaceship takes off?
Oh wow, Alyssa, it's quite something. You know, it feels like, to me, it feels like a giant person from some sci-fi TV show pushing you in the back as hard as they can and just not stopping for 8 minutes. And right off the bat, you almost can't tell that you've left the ground, but the vehicle's starting to shake, and that pushing feeling is in your seat. You're seeing numbers and things change on the displays, and then you start to, that acceleration really starts to kick in as you burn some fuel away, and it is just quite something amazing. And we have a couple stages of the rocket where one engine cuts off and another one starts, and that's you fall back with the acceleration, then you pick back up. So there's a few dynamic events in the middle of that 9-minute profile that are unable to be simulated on a ground simulator, and it's just incredible to feel in real life.
Hello, my name is Arvinsingh. I'm a junior at Oak Grove High School in San Jose, California. My question is, what is the hardest thing to adjust to when living on the ISS?
You know, it's probably not an answer you'd expect, but it's having your whole life controlled by other people writing a plan for you. Every minute of your day, from the time you go to bed or from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, is all on a plan, and doing that plan by the time Friday comes along, you're ready for a weekend where you don't quite have to live that plan. So doing the daily routine and not falling behind on the schedule and keeping up with this and having all of those other activities controlled by another group of folks is something that it often can get kind of tiring. And it's also a little like living at work or school. Imagine you woke up at school and you finished school and you stayed there and you ate there and you slept there, and then you wake up the next morning and you're still at school. You can do that for a week, no problem. 2 weeks, no problem. A month, no problem. But eventually, it gets kind of tiring, and that's what it's like up here for us. So we really enjoy our weekends, and when it's time to come home, we're ready to pass the duties on to the next crew, and we'll go home.
Hello, my name is Gianna Nilvo from the School of Dreams Academy in New Mexico. My question is about the microbiome. What studies is NASA doing in space to test and research effects of various things on the gut microbiome while in space for a long length of time?
Good question. Yeah, there's lots of studies going on up here. The one that I'm part of is called food physiology, and I have to eat a certain percentage of certain types of food, and throughout the mission I have sessions where I have to give all kinds of bodily fluid. You can picture what they are, and those samples get frozen in a freezer, and they'll ultimately get returned to the ground. But that's one example of studying about our gut and our microbiome health. That's the one I'm a part of, food physiology.
Hello, my name is Justin Kim, and I am part of the Baton Rouge Magnet High School STEM Club in Louisiana. I understand that one of the main purposes of the Expedition 63 is to investigate cell cultures. My question is, what kind of benefits does space or zero-gravity environments provide for cell cultivation? Thank you.
Well, great question. That's not just unique to Expedition 63. That's throughout all missions. That's an overall science objective of the International Space Station. Is cell cultures is one of many things, but that's really important because it translates nicely to life on Earth. And cells can grow in 3 dimensions. Other stem cells grow a little faster in microgravity. Those are all things that I'm not an expert in, but those experiments are certainly happening on other expeditions as well as Expedition 63.
Hi, my name is Charlotte Rosa, and I attend Milburn High School in New Jersey. My question is, would you say that the studies in space are more geared towards making improvements to life on Earth or to determine our future of life in space?
That was difficult for me to hear the question. I'm sorry, but I think you asked, what do I think is most applicable to life on Earth of the experiments we're doing? That's another great question. I think all of the things we're working on are applicable not only to life in space, but translate to Earth in some way. We're certainly working on life support systems on the International Space Station that will help keep crews safe and with reliable systems to keep them alive as they go beyond low Earth orbit, and that can translate to health systems on Earth as well, like in hospitals or whatever. So there's many things happening. It's just difficult to say that it's a really robust science program that we have up here, and I think you'd find a lot of benefits come back to Earth.
Hello, my name is Carrington Wynn, and I'm a student at Baton Rouge Magnet High School in Louisiana. My question is, being a part of the International Space Station, you encounter astronauts from different countries. Like now, you are on an expedition with 2 Russian astronauts. In your training, were you required to learn different languages, or is there a language translation device on the space station? Thanks.
Very insightful question. We do have things to help with us translate in real time up here on the International Space Station, but we rarely use them because we are in fact required to learn another language. We, as American astronauts, we all study Russian. My colleagues, the Russian cosmonauts, they all study English. The European astronauts and the Japanese astronauts, Canadian astronauts all study Russian as well. And so we have kind of a mix of Russian and English spoken on board the space station, and it just depends on the crew complement. Inevitably, you get to a point where you don't have the word for me when I'm trying to speak Russian, and you talk your way around it, or they can help me out with the word just by pointy, talky kind of translation. When you really do need the word, we do have electronic assist devices to help us get the precise word when you can't have any ambiguity about what you're talking about. But we spend many hours in one-on-one Russian language training, or in their case, English language training, prior to launch, and it's a huge part of our training.
Hi, my name is Harper and I attend the Mann School in Indiana. My question is, do you always fulfill or come close to all your goals on expeditions, or have you failed before?
Again, hard for me to hear that question, but I think you said, have we always been successful on expeditions, or have we failed before? Well, there's certainly been instances where the plan didn't happen as we hoped. I was part of a spacewalk one time where my partner Luca's spacesuit had water leaking into his helmet, and we had to abort that spacewalk and come in far before we completed the objectives. Right now on board today, we have a tiny leak of air on the International Space Station, and so this past week we've had to replan our schedule because we needed to shift our efforts into finding and pinpointing the source, the location of this leak. We haven't exactly done it yet, so that is ongoing. There's other scientific missions, scientific objectives, and experiments and such that don't happen. The cables don't connect. The data isn't being transmitted. The reaction isn't the way we anticipate. So those things happen, I wouldn't say all the time, but they definitely do happen. And those are part of our objectives, not only of Expedition 63, but the whole space station. So the mark of a good team, both here in space and on the ground, is to adapt and figure out what the new situation is, analyze the data, and come up with a new plan and try to figure out an alternate solution. Or if there is no solution, you try many attempts and then just know when to call it quits. So that's what I think is really cool about the international space community, is really creative problem solvers and innovative ways to think, innovative thinkers, such that when the mission does kind of throw us a curveball, we're able to adapt.
Hi, my name is Sofia Suarez, and I'm a student at Edward R. Murrow High School in New York. My question is, what advice would you give to youth in STEM who are interested in proceeding to take part in space exploration?
Yeah, I think space exploration is super cool. At the beginning of this topic, I said I have a passion for exploration, and right now I'm doing it in space. And I encourage everybody to participate if they desire. And there's lots of ways to do that. You don't necessarily have to be riding the rocket, although it's a fun place to be if that's what you desire. But there's many other ways to support the mission. There's opportunities in all space agencies and government and commercial companies now where you can participate as an engineer, as public affairs, as you name it. There's probably an avenue where you can be a part of space exploration. And it's just such a cool area to work in. I've been an astronaut now for 16 years, I guess, and every year is fantastic. Every mission's different. Every time I've come to space, it's been a new opportunity, and every time I've supported a mission from the ground, I've learned something new as well. So I just really, really am excited for anybody that chooses to choose this as a profession.
Hi, my name is Gideon Garcia, and I attend Hanna Early College High School in Texas. My question is, as a person who's lived in space over a prolonged period of time, what is your overall perspective on the possible colonization of Mars? And how soon do you think it will be an actual possibility?
I think you asked what's my thoughts on the colonization of Mars and when do I think it can happen. I think it's absolutely going to happen. Will it be tomorrow? Will it be next week? No. It's sometime in the future. What's that time horizon? I think that just depends on the will of our country. Right now we're dealing with some challenging economic times, and we certainly need to address those, and our country needs to get well. And when we do get well financially and health-wise, then we can devote more efforts and resources to really pushing us and going full throttle to getting to Mars. And I'm excited for that. When do I think that'll be? I don't know. I've been so focused on the International Space Station for the last couple of years. I don't have a really good answer, and I don't want to say a ridiculous number. But it'll be as soon as we desire to be.
Hi, my name is Corrine, and I attend Milburn High School in New Jersey. My question is, what do you think is the largest myth people believe about living in space?
The largest myth people believe about living in space. Well, I think people think that we get our food, it's like this icky goo that we squirt out of a tube, and it has no taste. And we work all the time, and that kind of thing. Well, we have nice food. I enjoy food up here a lot. It's one of the nice parts. In fact, if you've ever gone camping, you'll know that at the end of a day of hiking, when you sit around the tent with your family and your friends, and you have some food and you roast some marshmallows, that's a really special time of that expedition. And food is the same way up here. So I think the myth that we have horrible, icky space food and we don't have that ice cream either, that's probably the biggest myth that when I talk to people, they think.
Hi, my name is Caleb Billy, and I attend South Superior High School in Utah. My question is, what kinds of phenomena have you observed in space that couldn't be seen or replicated on Earth?
What type of phenomena have I experienced in space that could not be seen on Earth, I think is what I heard. For me, it's the sensation of watching the Earth rotate below us, or as we go around Earth, at 5 miles a second. It is hard to put into words what that feels like to be watching and knowing that to take a flight from Houston, Texas to somewhere on the East Coast is 3 hours, 4 hours, or something like that. And we do that on the matter of minutes, going from Houston to New York City. And when you think about that, it really blows me away. And that's, I think, the phenomena that it's really difficult to get across is just what the visual perception of that speed looks like.
Hello, my name is Alvin Varghese, and I attend Miramar High School in Florida. My question is, as the Earth is increasing in temperature due to climate change, are there any significant changes in the weather patterns around the world throughout the past few months from an astronaut's point of view?
Well, it's not just from an astronaut's point of view, although we look down and we can see, but namely the hurricanes that this season has already presented with us. We see those just as if you were looking on TV when you see a radar image of the whole Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic East Coast of the United States. And you see that image. That's what we see out the window without any assistance of radar. We're seeing that with our own eyes. And it's incredible. The wildfires that are happening on the Northwest or the California, Oregon, those have been incredible to see. The amount of the distance that the smoke that goes, and a few times I've noticed the smoke is blowing east, and then the winds shift, and I notice all of a sudden now, like the next day, the smoke is blowing another direction. So 2020 has been a crazy year in all aspects, but with weather, it's been a very dynamic year as well. And we can see that very firsthand throughout our window on board the International Space Station.
On behalf of the Society for Science and the Public and all our participants. I'd like to thank Chris and NASA for this extraordinary opportunity. This has certainly been interesting and educational for all of us.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event as we count down to 20 continuous years of humans living and working on the International Space Station.
Thank you to all participants from the Society for Science and the Public. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.